Oh, there we go. What's going on, everyone? Welcome. We are live. Happy Monday. Hope you are having a great day. Hope you had a great weekend. And today, what I want to do is I want to just discuss a little bit more of what we talked about Friday. I have had time to digest a few things and put some things into a bit more of I guess maybe more complete framework. Kind of solidified my ideas and just discuss one thing that I really forgot to mention and talk about, I think, on Friday. Before we get to that, if you're new here, welcome to the stream. This is a live stream where I sit down every day, Monday through Friday, and just stream about the process of trying to build a company that is going to generate $1 million of revenue every single year. And I started this company called Pixel Media in September of 2022, middle of September. Actually, I think it was incorporated September 15th, 2022. And so far, I haven't done a full rundown of numbers to date, but so far on paper, we've generated just over $100,000 in revenue so far. I say on paper because some of it is contracts, but it hasn't all been paid out yet, so it hasn't hit the bank specifically. But maybe what we'll do is we'll actually go with the actual bank numbers as opposed to the projected numbers. Anyways, suffice to say, that's kind of where we are right now. So I always like to think like, oh, we're kind of 10% there. So 90%, 90% to go, I guess. So yeah, that's what we do. That's what we do. And that's what we're trying to work towards. And just a thought of like imagining if I could get a business to make $100 million, $1 million in a year, that would be awesome. Then we think about the $100 million. But anyways, one step at a time. So Friday was a discussion about just me really, I don't know if you say a little bit of a panic, but just a little bit of thinking that I'm not really moving in the right direction. And I know with the previous businesses that I've had that I tend to revert to doing what I'm comfortable with. And that has always led me to not really ever be able to grow a business sustainably. So I was just kind of thinking like, am I falling within the same trap? Am I doing that the same this time? I want to make sure that I don't do that. So let's just take a minute here and figure things out and make sure that we're moving in the right direction. So I talked it out, and Charlene, thank you so much for your help and being part of my brain dump. Was very helpful. So I really appreciate that. So I kind of just solidified a few ideas in my mind, and I want to go over them here. Actually, I wrote them down in a little bit. So we'll go over them in a second. But I just want to touch base on one thing and one kind of core concept that I didn't touch on Friday. And that is this whole idea that I want to transition. At least I don't think I talked about this, that I want to transition from being a service-based business to a product-based business. And that's to say, Pixel right now, what we do is we do web design and creative services for companies, and which is fine. But of course, the real flaw, I'll say, behind that is that it's a trading of time versus like time for money. And there's only a limited amount of time that I personally have to be able to trade in order to get money. And then, of course, that just means I'm limited by what I can do, which means I have to hire out more people to scale the company that way, which is all fine and good. But really, I think for me anyways, the holy grail of a business would be to be almost infinitely scalable in that if I have a product that I could, you make one product and you could sell it to one people or you could sell it to like 1 million people. And then you can kind of scale infinitely that way and not limited by how much time I have because the product itself is already created. And there's a few different types of products that I've had in mind. We'll probably talk about it. Maybe not so much this year, but maybe next year. We'll kind of see how the rest of the year goes. But there's courses in education, so teaching people about web design, and potentially creating some type of app, which I talked about initially when we first started, was to get a product out there that would help for invoicing clients. And there's been a little bit of stalls and delays and complications with that. We might talk about that as well too. And then I talked about developing products such as Webflow components or themes for like for Webflow, or even for other tools as well, maybe possibly Ghost. So those are different products that I thought that I could create. And we've tested out a few different stages of those things. Haven't gone serious to any of those at all. Just kind of dabbling in them for now. But anyways, while those are good ideas, I think what I've decided is I don't want to focus on what that direction of Pixel is going to be, whether it's services versus products, for the rest of the year, because I want to focus on this stuff that I talked about yesterday, and I'm going to actually bring it up right now so we can kind of just go over it. So what I want to go over here is bring up what I thought or what I think is best for me to focus on as a company for the rest of the year, to kind of see what direction Pixel Media would kind of end up getting into. So, and what I mean by that is, one of the big things that I was struggling with, and I was talking about this on Friday on the last live stream, was I don't know if I should try to niche down for offering services for, just academics or for everybody, or maybe if I should just do like creative services work, whether that might be content creation or video production for people. There's all kinds of avenues that I'm just not sure where to go. And I don't really know what's the best way to go, what the market is like, or anything like that. So I think what the best thing for me to do is to just forget about all that. I have enough money saved up in the bank that I can go for a good portion of time of just trying to focus on creating content and creating my brand. And then we'll see what happens when I put all this stuff out there, right? So really focused on the content, putting myself out there, seeing what happens in terms of people that see what I do and maybe they like it and they want to work with me, great. And they reach out and then see what we can do together. And then from there, if there's enough contact and enough, I can kind of see what the market, what people are interested in. And then I could see if I could be a good match for filling out those needs, right? So it's keeping myself open to potential opportunities. And I think, Charlene, that's what you were saying to me about making sure that you don't close the door on things that, might benefit you, whether now or in the future. Right. So I think I got it. I think I got that now. So the direction of Pixel Media. So this is really rough. I just kind of wrote this out. I don't know how well I should take trying to create and craft these documents, but anyways, this is a good start anyways. So I just have here, I'll just maybe just kind of read it. This document outlines what we will focus on for the rest of the year and how we believe it will help us reach our objectives. And of course, the main objective is to make $1 million worth of revenue. That's the main objective. And I have two parts to this in terms of how to go about trying to reach that objective. And one thing that I don't have just yet are maybe some key metrics in order to how to hit in each one of these individual things that I think will help move the needle forward. It's pretty easy if you're selling a specific product to know what your month-over-month recurring revenue is or something like that, to gauge how well your product is doing or how well your business is going. We don't have that yet, so we're going to have to figure out what the metrics are going to be, because it's always nice to look at data to be able to see how things are going. Anyways, so part one, content generation. And I think this is going to be, outside of the work that I have to do with the clients that I have, going to be pretty much 100% of my time, I think. Yeah, pretty much. Like maybe 95%, maybe 90% of my time, because, how can I say this? Because I'm not going to be spending any time, I don't think, doing any kind of advertising or marketing, outside of actual making content, or any type of promoting myself out there. I want to just put things out there and let the market, let the leads or what have you come in from just what I put out there, I guess, if that's a good way to say it. So I'm just going to be pumping out content as high quality as I possibly can, and then we'll see what happens from there. I think that's kind of the plan. So part one, content generation. So number one, not in any particular order here in terms of importance, is the podcast. So we want to create and launch a new podcast. And if you hadn't noticed, actually, I should probably talk about this real quick. I'm in a different room right now. This is actually my bedroom. Like, there's the bed. We got all kinds of other space over here, which I might get some different angles here, which would be kind of neat. But anyways, yeah, I'm out of our den and into the bedroom, because that den is going to be the new podcast studio. So I'm going to set that up. I'm super pumped about how it's going to look. Well, I'm not sure how it's going to look. I'm hoping it's going to look stuff. We have furniture on order, and hopefully it'll get here within the next week and a half. Definitely by the end of June, the room will be ready to go, and we can start, basically filming a bunch of podcasts in there. So that room and that office is going to be 100% dedicated for the podcast. So I'm super excited about that, super pumped. But anyways, yeah, so now we're just going to be here in my room, and we're going to see how this goes. We'll see how it goes. It'd be nice if I could just do the live stream within the podcast room, but then I need like my whole computer set up as well too. And that's where like my computer is also where I do work. So I don't have just like a live stream set up in a work desk environment. So I haven't been able to separate the two. But if I can, maybe I would, so I can have a light podcast studio within a light stream setup within the podcast studio. But there's not very much space in there. It's a very small room for the den. So we make do with what we have. And anyways, really looking forward to that and setting that up. Anyways, it's nice here in this room. There's actually a window over here, which I kind of have closed right now for the most part, because I want to be able to control the light. But anyways, we'll play around with things as we move along here. I just made this move kind of over the weekend. Anyways, so where were we? Podcast. Yes. We're going to have the podcast, and it's going to focus on having discussions with entrepreneurs and business owners, just at various stages of their their business, their success, if you will. It could be someone who's just starting out. It could be somebody that is making $10 million, whatever the case may be. I'm going to try to have a variety of different people at different stages, and also people doing different types of business, from like brick and mortar business to online business to like whatever, right? Any kind of business I'm interested in. So really looking forward to that. And the idea there is to, the goal of the podcast, I guess I can say here, we want to provide an education to the audience. Like, I want people to be able to get any kind of insights or any information, learn about people's successes, learn about their failures, get inspired by what they're saying, get motivated, whatever. Just having the podcast be really, really engaging and interesting, and something that you can hopefully have good takeaways so you can learn something and try to implement it into what you're trying to do. Because ultimately, I always think like there's so much money out there in the world that we can all be successful. It's not about one person being successful and then pulling the ladder up behind you and saying nobody else can be successful. I think we can all pull together and learn from each other and grow from each other. Like, even if I become, say, a super successful local web designer, say like I have this amazing studio is bringing in like $10 million of revenue, whatever the case may be, there's still going to be so much room for people to get up and coming and starting in web design. Because if I get to that point, I'm telling you, I'm not going to be handling the clients that are going to want a small website for $5,000 or whatever. It's going to be premium high-end clients that are going to want like $150,000, $250,000 worth of work done. Those are the types of clients that I'm going to be getting. So there's always going to be niches for people of all different levels that we can all learn from. I would 100% give away and talk about everything that I've done, all my secrets or whatever, because I'm a firm believer that you can't duplicate like me, right? Or what you are, whatever your secret sauce is. That can't be duplicated because, unless you're a twin, you're unique, right? So even then, I guess you're still unique. Anyways, that's another topic for another conversation. There's identical twins. I mean, they have the exact same DNA and genetics, but they're still like individual people that, are unique, right? In other ways, I don't know. I'm going to get too philosophical here, and so I'll stop myself before I make even more of a fool of myself talking about stuff that I don't know about. So that's the one goal of a podcast. And the second goal, of course, is to be entertaining, to entertain people, to have a laugh, to have a lot of fun, to make it really enjoyable, not too heavy of a podcast where it feels like you're sitting down for a lecture. I don't want that at all. Just casual, relaxed conversations. Maybe at some point it'll be people just having like a beer together, whatever the case may be. Just super casual, super relaxed, and a lot of fun. So that's number one of part one of content generation. So the next thing is our YouTube channel. And this is not this YouTube channel for the live stream, but a YouTube channel for Pixel Media. And that is going to be a very singular focus. And that's going to be on education and teaching people everything that I know about web design and even the creative process around design. Of the design of websites. So, sorry, I just thought I heard my phone buzzing. So the point, of course, of that channel is to just give an insane amount of value. Just teach as many people as I can everything that I know. So that way, if they want to go out and become a successful web designer, whatever that means to them, because I know for a lot of people, if they made $100,000 in a year, even though it's 100,000 Canadian, which is what, 75K US American, about. If people made that, they would be pretty happy. So take my knowledge and apply it however you can, and go out there and just hustle up and get what you can, get what you deserve, basically, depending on how hard you work, right? So that's what that channel is going to do. And a byproduct, of course, of giving insane value is that we get, hopefully, credibility into who I am, what my expertise is, and what my knowledge is. And at the end of the day, that's kind of just like building a brand. So that's building the brand of who I am and what it would be like to work with me and my company, right? So it's just branding. And of course, the external hope, as I talked about at the start, is that people will see the work that we do, or on the YouTube channel will understand and see my expertise and my knowledge, and will want to work with me, right? So that's the YouTube channel. That's part two. And the third part of content creation is this live stream. I would like this live stream. I'm just figuring this out. I mean, it's episode 84? I've only done this 84 times, not a lot of times at all. So I'm still just trying to figure out this whole thing. What works, what doesn't work. I don't really have enough data to know very much, because it's really hard to know how to break things down when you don't have very many, views or watch time or anything like that. But anyways, I kind of know what works in terms of if I feel like I had a good stream or not. So there's little things like that I can do internally to try to get better. But the whole point and the purpose of this stream is to document the whole process of building a company that goes from $0 to $1 million, right? That's the purpose. And I think that could be a combination of doing a few different things. One of those things would be to just kind of have discussions and analysis of all the things that I've done to see what worked and what hasn't worked, and just kind of break that stuff down. It's like, oh, okay, well, I did this many videos on YouTube, or I did this many, podcasts. What are the results of that, right? All those little things that I can do to kind of analyze and say what's worked and what hasn't worked. And then that's insight that hopefully other people could take into their business, right? The second thing is doing a lot of planning, kind of like what I'm doing now, is just talking about what direction I want to take the business in, or take the company. So just planning out things, even if it's just like my weekly plan, like, hey, this is what I'm going to be doing this week. This is what I'm going to focus on. So I can get really granular into Asana, and we're kind of dive into like just what tasks need to be done. There could be that kind of planning, or it could be more grandiose planning, like over the past couple of days of like, here's the actual vision of Pixel. We are pivoting and we're going to be moving towards creating an application, or we're going to be moving to creating a course, or we're not going to be doing web design anymore. We're just going to be doing strictly content creation, or we're going to be open up a podcast studio. I don't know, all kinds of different things, right? That's the planning phase. And then the third thing is just doing the actual work. So if I am, for example, what could be a good example? If we decide to build an app, then I actually sit down and just build the app on the live stream, right? So it's just like, okay, every day sit down and let's start building the app. And it could be, a lot of times there could be lots of combinations of those three things. There's probably more things that I haven't thought of that don't fit into these kind of three buckets. Is there anything else? What do you think? Let me know if there's anything you think that I missed in terms of the big different things of how I could break down the live stream in terms of what the episodes would be like and discuss. I mean, just all kind of business related as well. Yeah, that's all part of the plan. Yeah. So anyways, those three things. And I was just thinking that those ways of, or those groups of things I can talk about on the live stream, what can I call them? I don't know, just like episodes, whatever. Those things could be broken down into various themes. So those themes could revolve around finances, like how well the business is doing, so while you're having discussions of what has and hasn't worked, you could talk about the finances behind those numbers. That can help with planning as well too. And in terms of like doing the work in the business, that could be also just doing the budgets, doing the QuickBooks, so that's how the themes could fit into, what's the word? Cause I'm saying themes are like the themes, what we're going to be discussing. But what are those things that I have there in these bullet points? I'll just highlight them. I can't point with my hands here. You don't know what the hell I'm pointing at. But these things that I have highlighted, they're not called themes, but what are they called? Like programs of the live stream? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the word is here. Anyways, then we have marketing. And marketing could be, I did say that I wasn't doing any like kind of marketing, but there definitely will be stuff with the podcast in terms of marketing the podcast. But marketing is just creating YouTube videos and all those kinds of things. All the things that I do to push myself out there into the world, and probably start getting on one social media outside of YouTube, and that will probably be Twitter, I would imagine. Customer service, I think that's hugely, hugely important. Just kind of talk about what I'm doing, what I've done, what I plan to do about customer service, and maybe putting specific processes in place. And then business values as well. Oh, that's actually business processes. So yeah, talking about business values. What are the core values of business, or how do I like to do business? And if anything comes up, like I remember talking about, I think it was Marriott, and their points, and how they just really pissed me off because they let my points expired, and they're like, you can't get your points back. I'm like, well, what the hell? This is kind of stupid. And then it just could get me talking about my business philosophy of how I want to run my company and how I want to treat, my customers. And those are just the values that I have, or that people have as a business, and how I don't want to get bogged down by rules and regulations that get in the way of the customer getting what it is that they want and what they want from doing business with me. And then we talk about business processes, or I guess I just want to say like the processes that I have in place on how to do things. For example, I guess I should say tools. Maybe just tools that what I'm thinking about is how do I go about, planning out the podcast, or reaching out to guests. And like, for example, I'm using Asana to make kind of a list and developing a template. So just all the tools that I use to make sure my business runs as smoothly as possible, right? So that's what I mean by the business process. And then we have part 2. So part 1 is all about content creation, which I said is like 90% of my time is going to be dedicated to doing this. And then part 2 is business growth, where I'm not actually going to be doing much for this other than probably working on the website. And I'm going to read here, focus on creating valuable content, again, part 1, to see, focus on creating, so I haven't reread this, so hopefully this makes sense. Focus on creating valuable content to see if that generates organic interest in our services. Okay. How can I say that? That's really clunky. To see how much or what kind of it creates for our services. I don't know. Okay. So basically what I'm saying here is we're going to put out a whole bunch of content out there into the world, and we're going to see what kind of interest it generates from people who want to work with us or hire us for our services. So what I want to do then is I want to highlight additional services that Pixel can offer outside of web design. And the key to that is to make sure that we leave ourselves open to potential opportunities that we may not ever know about if we say that we only do, web design. So it's trying to not leave anything on the table, because right now we don't really know what we want to do because maybe we don't know enough about the market. And I think the idea is that my skill set is, what's the word I'm looking for? Like it hasn't wide enough breadth, like a breadth of skills. I can do video production. I can do audio production. I can do web design. I can do some development work. I can do creative stuff, whether that is print media stuff, some illustrations. Actually, in illustrations, I'm not very good at that. Graphic design type stuff, posters, flyers, things like that. All those things I can do. So why not just leave things open, see where we are, see where we get to, and then figure out how to narrow down and niche down and specialize to really start to really take control of the market in that specific niche, right? Because I think there is huge benefits to becoming so well known for one specific thing. Like imagine being the best logo design person or company out there, where everyone knows, like, oh, who did the Apple logo, who did IBM's logo, who did Microsoft's logo. Like you go to the cream of the crop and you know that you're going to get 6-7 figures easy, like per project, or you're going to get stock options, or you're going to be able to command such a premium price because you have such a specific levels of skills that are in very, very high demand by like really big companies. So being the jack of all trades of everything, I don't want to go there. I don't want to have a media company or an agency that just can do everything. I definitely want to be a company that is very specific. So anyways, we'll see how things go. Because right now we're open to, what I have here: web design and development, audio, video production, content creation. And like what I really think about with content creation is, imagine if there's a company out there, they got tons of money for whatever reason, and they want to figure out the social media game. They want to figure out how they can they want to make a bunch of videos, content, whatever the case may be, but they don't know how to do that. So if they can partner with Pixel and say, okay, well, we're going to put a strategy together where we're going to shoot with you once a week, twice a week, once a month, whatever the case may be, and deliver X amount of content. Maybe it's content for Twitter, it's content for Facebook, content for LinkedIn, YouTube, whatever, TikTok, anything. And we'll create a specific package that'll get you that much content, whatever the package is. Maybe it's like 100 pieces of content, maybe it's 10 pieces of content, whatever the case may be. We'll create that for you, and then it's like a recurring thing, right? We just work with you to create that content on a recurring basis. Like we're partners. We benefit because we have money coming in from you being a partner, and of course you benefit because we create that high value content that's going to help you make more money, right? So if you spend, total hypothetical, $20,000 a month hiring Pixel for us to do your content creation, and you go out there, turn that out into the world, and then you end up making $50,000 more per month in revenue, right? Whatever the case may be, whatever the key objectives or markers at, you know, whether it's social media growth, interactions, whatever the metric is that you wanna, you know, study or outperform in, that's what we'll focus on. And then the other one is brand and visual identity as well too. So we'll keep all that onto the table, make it clear that that's what Pixel Media does. So that way, whenever people watches the podcast, they watch the YouTube channel, or they're watching this live stream, they go to, at the end of the day, it's pixel.ca. That's the site. All the services are there and they're outlined, and it's clear, I guess. It's clear on what we can do. And then from there, you know, we make the connections and just go from there. So yeah, that's where we are at. And I don't know, I'm excited. I think it's good. I think focusing on this, I had all kinds of other different things that I wanted to do. And there might be a few things that I want to do outside of this that I'm not quite sure yet, but focusing specifically on content, I think is going to be fantastic. So what we're going to do, I believe, tomorrow is we're going to go back to our website, pixel.ca, and we're going to fix or update the content to make it specific, to make it more, to make it specifically less specific. That is going to be more of a content kind of thing. And we'll take a look at our video, see if our video makes sense. Maybe we'll have to redo that video. And so this week we'll make sure we're focused on that and getting that all ready to go. And then we're going to dive into do some more planning around the podcast. And we also need to do planning around our YouTube channel and creating some content, because we already have the first video ready to go. Maybe we'll spend some time planning out our YouTube like content strategy for at least the next couple months as well too. So that's what we're going to do next week. This week. That's what we're going to do this week, starting tomorrow. So tomorrow we go to Pixel, and then we'll go from there in terms of figuring out how long that's going to be, and then talk about the content we're going to be generating as well too. Make sense? Sound good? Okay, I'm excited. I'm happy. I think things are organized. We're going to have to find a place to put this all, so that way, if you're following along on the live stream, that you can kind of get in touch with all the documents. That would actually be really cool. Maybe I should put like a public facing like Dropbox folder or something like that, where all the materials can get access to, and even people can make comments on it. That would be really great too. Yeah, and that's part of like fixing my live stream, so I can make it better, maybe more interactive, and provide more value. So I'm just gonna write this down here. So like create a repo for documents shared on stream. Something like that. Just yeah. A way for people to interact more with what I'm doing, and you take it, and if it helps you with anything that you're doing, then by all means, that'll be fantastic. Have at it. And I think that would be especially useful if there's any like projections that I do, or anything, yeah, or anything like that. I don't know. Like financial projections, I mean. Anyways, but yeah, a repository to share documents. I think that'll be cool. Anyways, I'm going to leave it here. Thank you so much for watching. And tomorrow, I look forward to seeing you. And we're going to get started to work on our website yet again. All right, guys. Until then, thank you so much for watching. And we'll see you tomorrow.